Good afternoon. My name is Georgia Newbury and I'm a flower farmer and florist based between fashionable Broughton and up-and-coming Wincanton here in sunny Somerset, or not terribly sunny Somerset, which is why the electric light is on, so I'm sorry about that because it's slightly lowering the tone. I know, I always tell people don't use electric light in your photography, but actually for a clip like this, if I didn't, you wouldn't be able to see anything, and there's a limit to how romantic and moody we need be. So, I've just done another thing over on Instagram about what my favourite bits of kit as a flower farmer are. And I thought, may as well do it again for you guys and see if you're interested. So what I've got here are all the basic essentials which I think I wouldn't be able to do without as a flower farmer. And if I were a gardener, I would, any kind of gardening, these are my basic essentials. Number one, the teacup. For me, it must be bone china. And I really like these because not only are they very attractive, they're made by a girl called Rachel Pedder Smith. They're very attractive, but also they're large. I don't like a mean cup. Often it is the case that a bone china cup is refined and very small for small people who like small cups of tea. I like tea by the gallon. So give me a refined bone china cup and then I can have tea by the gallon so long as it's big enough. So there you go, number one. Number two, I'm just going to grab stuff because I've got it all here. I recommend having 3 sizes of vases, because when I'm making my bouquets, I have 3 sizes of bouquets. And if I have a list of the kind of bouquets I've got to make, I might have 5 of this and 10 of that and 3 of the other, then I fill 5 of this and 10 of that and 3 of the other. And at a glance, I can tell what I've got to do. And I just work on through it. It's really, really efficient. And it looks nice. And I can take photographs and post them on my social media as I go. And so I may as well do 2 things at once. There you go. So these are, this is a very dirty example, but nevertheless, it is a hurricane lamp vase. I like a hurricane lamp vase shape, and I get them from a company called Michael Dark in just the other side of Exeter, for those of you in the UK. And they are an online florist sundries wholesaler. You can also go there, they have a shop. There you go. I would not be without this very useful little tool. It's by a company called Illuminations, and they make copper-headed tools. As you can see, this is really a good size for a small person like me. This is for hoiking out roots. Yes, very useful. And this is for digging. Yeah, I can make a little drill. I can make a little hole. Very useful. Slightly bigger. A pointy trowel. Personally, I have never in my life seen the point of a blunt, round-headed trowel. It's like trying to dig a hole in concrete. I garden on thick clay. Trying to dig a hole in concrete with a spoon. Give me a sharp point to my trowel, please. Which would I use for my snips? I use Niwaki snips, and I know that my garden is full of them. When one day when we're all long gone and the rats have taken over the world and the rats are going over old land with metal detectors, this place will have an unusual number of old pairs of snips. They are very, very sharp when they arrive. So if you drop them, you will spear your foot. So do be careful. That's number one. Number two, if you do drop them, which I always do, you can always just smooth off the ends with a little bit of, with an iron filing thing. And as you can see with these, I have dropped them more dramatically. So these have been smoothed off a little bit. These have been smoothed off more because I drop them and break them on the floor. But I usually, these are my go-to snips. My go-to secateurs, which I use very little, are these Felcos, and I love them. I've had them about 20 years, and from time to time Fabrizio takes them apart, cleans them, sharpens them, puts them back together again. That might make a really nice clip one day. Although Fabrizio is very camera shy. So we'll see. I would not be without alpaca poo products. My friend Lou Archer has a small herd of alpaca, and she picks up their poo, dries it, and makes dried alpaca poo fertilizer, which I love, because just a little sprinkle, you'd be surprised how far it goes. And I pop this on my, particularly the dry poo like this is a really nice top dressing for pots outside my back door. But she also makes an alpaca poo liquid feed, and that I really do use. And the reason I haven't got any here is because I get it from her in, so I haven't got anything branded, because my alpaca poo liquid feed comes in a jerry can this big. Yes, it does. But that is quite an investment, I can tell you. But it's worth it. Put this out of the way. Right, moving on. I would not be without my concertina file for my seeds. It is plastic. Yes, it is plastic. But I get through my seeds very quickly, and I don't let them sit around for years rotting at the bottom where it might be a little damp. And I keep it in my very cold, airy office. So, but it is really, really useful because, as you can see, it's an alphabetical number, and I love it. That's the best of many different ways of keeping seeds. This is my favourite. On the subject of seeds, on Friday, which is tomorrow, I am sowing the first crop of sweet peas for flowering in spring 2022. In what will I be sowing them? I will be sowing them in my root trainers, which I have had for years and years and years, and I would not be without a root trainer. Because what you do is you fold up these little things, fill them with compost. As the sweet peas germinate, they send down roots. The roots come out the bottom and they air prune, so you can leave them there freely all winter. I don't, but you can. And when the sweet peas are nicely germinated and big enough to plant out, you can open up the whole tray, and then you're not disturbing the root ball. It's very handy. If you would like more about growing sweet peas for an amazing, successful crop, like the kind of which that I grow, book a place on tomorrow's online demo, and we'll talk about sweet peas. I'm afraid it's a paid thing, but got to earn a living. So if you want to do that, you can book a place for tomorrow. It's a bit time sensitive. It's not really supposed to be like that on here, is it? People keep telling me I'm doing it wrong on YouTube, but hey. I've got to just do it, I think. Anyway, what else would I not be without? I would not be without my year planner. Without my year planner, I have no idea where I am. It is absolutely fundamental to my life. If you like, you can also join a workshop, an online workshop, in which I describe in detail what is on my year planner and how I choose to add things. It is possibly the most useful of the flower farming module workshops that you can take, that I teach. The year planner. I would not be without a useful, now this is a multi-purpose tool, but it's an upside down hanging basket cage, you cry. Yes, it is. So I could have a hanging basket, but never have a hanging basket. More importantly, I can, or Fabrizio does, use this to protect emerging little wild seedlings in the wildflower meadow from rabbits. Very good, isn't that? That's clever, isn't it? I use it as a cage. See, here's a bucket. So I can tape, you can see I've done it before, here's the tape. I tape this onto a bucket. I make a lovely enormous arrangement, and then I can hide all of that, the workings, in a beautiful vintage and expensive smart urn, but I can make all the work in this. So that's a cunning little trick, which brings me onto the buckets. I love these buckets. Hold the line because I've just got to give you the tape. Hang on. I was talking about the tape. I had it. Oh, here it is. The tape I used here is, you can either have it in green like it is on this, or you can have it clear, and it's just very, very strong sellotape, and it is made by a floral sundries firm. So if you look up pot tape, this will come up. It's really useful. You can grid all sorts of stuff, really, really handy. So there's that. The buckets, I would not be able to be a flower farmer without these buckets, and these come from my local supermarket, and I buy them occasionally. They are their own flower buckets, and occasionally they just have a few heaps of them, and they sell them like 8, I think it's for £1 sterling. I don't know how much that would be in dollars, but I like these buckets because I can fit 8 of them into my trolley, without which I could not be a flower farmer. And if I put 8 of these in the trolley, I can cut 50 stems into each bucket, and then I have 400 stems in the trolley, and I can cut 400 stems an hour, and I really know where I am. I can manage my time very effectively. So without the buckets, I'd be stuffed. Anything else? Oh yes, one more final thing. Two things. Quick. I would not be without these lovely seed trays because they're deep. And so long as I don't just randomly sprinkle seed on the surface and and so long as I only plant seed exactly where I want it to be, means I prick out less. And because of the deep trays, they got further to get their roots down. And so I waste less compost or time pricking out. I would not be without this lovely book. My favourite flower farming book, actually, the one that really got me going, was one by a girl called Lynn Basinski, and I'm sure a lot of you know that book. She is a flower farmer in Texas, and her book was very enabling. I liked it. Obviously, I wrote the definitive flower farming book, and I haven't even got one here to show you, but The Flower Farmer's Year is mine. Me. I wrote it. Do feel free to order. All good bookshops and online retailers can get it for you around the world. But the one that inspired me was one by a lady called Lynn Basinski, called The Flower Farmer, and she is a flower farmer in Texas, and I really liked a lot her straightforward approach and the way she talked about different ways of flower farming, because it's true that there are many ways to skin this particular cat. For inspiration, however, sort of artistic inspiration, I still love this brilliant book called Planting with Colour by Nori and Sandra Pope. They used to have the garden at Hadspen House, which is near here in Somerset, before it was bought and turned into the Newt. There was the most exquisite parabola garden planted in colours, and it was breathtaking. And I was very strongly, when I was quite soon after we moved here, well, my husband had been here all his life, but this was new country to me. And we used to go there quite often, and you could have a wander out for not very much money. It was sort of like a $5, and you could walk around and have a cup of tea and a piece of cake in the gardener's cottage. And the planting was quite intense, but it was fascinating, and the colour was very, very important, but also I found the textures very inspiring. I learned a lot from them. Look, if you can find it, I'm not sure it's still in print, but if you can find a copy, look at that. That's a great book. So Planting with Colour by Nori and Sandra Pope, if you can find a copy. And that, my friends, one more thing. I would not be without builder's mesh. It's true. Imagine, if you will, I am a plant. Go on, I dare you. And I need protecting from the wind and the rain and the weather and possibly the frost. I could be very demanding and be covered with horticultural mesh that costs a lot of money. Or I could be less demanding, less of a princess in a pea, and be covered up with a little tunnel made with horticultural mesh, which can be used time and time again, and is really, really useful. It makes a perfect little tunnel, instant. And I buy it in 100-meter rolls and use it again and again because it doesn't rip. It's really, really useful stuff. So I wouldn't be without that. And that, my friends, is the end of that little clip. I do hope you've enjoyed it. I apologise for the electric light, which is very low grade. If you have enjoyed it, please do subscribe. Somewhere there's a subscription button, and do press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we have new clips. And if there have been tips and tricks that I have talked about that have really inspired you, then please do buy me a coffee. Obviously, you're not buying me a real coffee, but it's a small price that you can choose how much you spend to support the making of these clips. And you are very generous, and lots of people do buy me coffees, which is very, very nice, and inspires me to make more clips. So we all win, I hope. Anyway, have a lovely evening. I'm going to the pub. I'm not leaving the house unattended, so please don't come and burgle us. But I'm having a girls' night with a couple of girlfriends, and I suspect, and there is a friend from London visiting, and I suspect it may get a bit messy. Anyway, I'll see you a bit hungover tomorrow. Bye.